This is Captain Soban of the fleet, Farron Shaw.
We have arrived in Sector 112 and request targeting data.
Hello everyone, this is Captain Soban. Welcome aboard the Starship Normal Prize for another episode of the Homeworld, welcome to Homeworld Complex Ship Showcase series. I think that's what I'm calling this series. Anyways, in this series I am showing you guys all of the different ships that we can build in the old Homeworld Complex mod. We are playing as the Higarans, and today I will be talking about all the different production ships that we can build, because there are a lot.
Reporting.
The first one we can build is the one you see in front of us, which is called the Scavenger. This one you can actually build as soon as you start the game. Doesn't really matter what rank you are, as long as you have an officer free, which in the very beginning of the game you should. Basically, what's cool about this guy is he is a advanced resource operation unit. He has 4 different docking areas for your harvesters. He can also build more harvesters if you need them to like harvest areas like down here. He can also has the ability to shoot mining missiles to destroy these like asteroids down here. Rapid sweeper to protect himself, and you can even build point defense drones to guard your Scavenger as well. Now the main use for this guy is I specifically use these guys to harvest resources, because they also have the ability to build a harvest control module, which allows your harvesters to harvest faster and hold more cargo. The king also has a fusion control module, which you can put on to generate resources over time. Anti-radiation field, which allows them to go into areas that would be really deadly for normal harvesters, like radiated areas or nebulas. So yeah, this guy to me is an absolute must. He also has the ability to build RU supplies, which increases the maximum amount of RUs that you can hold, because in Complex, if you go over the limit of your RUs, then that money is completely lost. It's like you never even harvested it. So yeah, that's pretty much the Scavenger. He's basically just your main harvesting type of main harvester dude. So moving on to our next one, we will go to the crew station. Now, in the very beginning of the game, the crew station really isn't that useful or valuable. Its main purpose is to hold all of the different crew decks and officer decks that you will be unlocking as you become a higher ranking military officer, so that you can have a larger crew pool and a larger officer pool. And basically, in the late game, like right now, he is extremely valuable. If I would lose this guy, my capacity would go down to 150 on crew and 10 on officer. And it'll stay that way until I rebuild this ship and start rebuilding all the modules on it. So early game, this guy's not really important, but the later the game gets, the more important he is. So in late game, definitely protect your crew station. Now the next one on our list would be the power station. Now I can't remember which version of Complex made it to where power is required to run things, but this guy is probably one of the most important ships in your entire fleet. If you lose this guy, your power capacity is going to drop tremendously, because all these little cores here are all your power cores that you have to build in order to get this thing fully functional. So yeah, he also causes like some sort of nuclear explosion when he dies. So if he does die, make sure he's not near your ships, or you don't have any ships around him. You can also, I totally forgot about this. Dang it. Stupid ship above me. I keep accidentally doing that. But you can also build additional power cores if you still need more power once you max out your actual power thing. And you can also build a mobile gravity well generator, which I did not know. Indeed. It's good to know. Your power core also comes with a defense field, so he can have a shield activate if he's really in trouble. You get that once you unlock the science division, which we'll be talking about that here shortly. An advanced power disruptor, which puts a negative debuff to nearby enemy units, so it makes them reduces your enemy's accuracy, health, speed, and damage. So very useful if you really need it once you get to the engineering division. So speaking about all these researches, the next one up is our research station.
Copy.
Now the research station is important.
That's all of them. Ready for orders.
He becomes, just like the cruise station, he becomes more important the further you get through the game. Because when you first start out, you can build a research division, which unlocks some of your technology. Then once your research gets up to I think it's 150, which you get by, doing research. Just get points for actually doing research. Then that unlocks science division, which unlocks your second tier of research and unlocks different ships and abilities that you can use. And then once you get up to 450 on research, that unlocks your engineering division, which unlocks your third tier research and your more advanced ship designs and abilities. And by tiers of research, I mean these. So like right now, I haven't researched anything in Corvettes because I was just showing things off. But the first tier unlocks during your research division. The second tier unlocks during your science, or your first tier unlocks during your science division. Second one is the first tier of these unlock on your research division, and then once you get the science division made, your second tier unlocks on that, and then once you get your engineering division up and running, you get your third tier unlocked. Now, if you would lose this research ship, you would have to rebuild the research ship and then rebuild all of your research divisions, which can be very expensive. So definitely make sure he stays alive and is protected, especially during late game. Your research thing also has the ability to activate power-ups. So like RU power-up, this will allow your harvesters, I believe this allows your harvesters to harvest faster. So like, if you have harvesters, like if you bring your research station to like an area where you can harvest quickly, you can activate that and allow your harvesters to work a little bit better, up to 5 times their actual ability. So these can be useful like in combat, like the repair ability. The construction ability is definitely really good to increase speed of production of all of your ships. But I normally don't really use these too much. But they are available on the research ship if you ever need them. And then the last station we will be talking about is the weapon station. This one you're able to build once you get a shipyard. I don't know if it's a specific shipyard. We'll have to take a look at that later on. But this weapons platform has a bunch of long-range artillery cannons. A couple, I believe these are flak cannons to protect it, and then you can build actual other cannons that you want, depending on what you want this weapon station to specialize in. So long-range autocannon if you want to do artillery. I think there's actual artillery cannons. Nuclear bomb launchers if you want to be really good against battle cruisers. Torpedo launchers if you want to be good against frigates, blah blah blah. It's whatever you want this weapon station to specialize in. Basically, I think of this guy as a gigantic platform that has, a little bit of customization that you can do. There's something else you can do with this on one of the shipyards, but we'll be discussing more about that later. Okay, and so that does it for all of the stations. Let's start looking at the different type of carriers that we can make. There are 4 type of carriers that we can build in this mod. The first one is, I gotta figure out where the heck I put it. The light carrier.
Roger.
Now the light carrier is basically a smaller version of the normal carrier. As you can tell, it kind of looks similar, it's just a little bit stripped down, so it's cheaper and requires less officers and whatnot to actually make. Let's see, how many officers does it actually require to make one of these?
Mothership.
For the light carrier, it's 1 officer and 10 crew members. Okay, so it's pretty cheap. But pretty much, in the light carrier, you can build only fighters and corvettes. Normally, you can build fighters, corvettes, and frigates on a normal carrier. You can build some like probes and advanced surveillance stuff. You have just a handful of different modules that you can build. So you can have a drive system so you can move faster, hyperspace so you can hyperspace, cloak so you can cloak, blah blah blah. Your sensors, and then like a gun to protect itself. So this is basically just a cheaper version of the carrier that requires less crew members and can get to areas a little bit faster. So kind of good for like reconning in like a small area. So like if you wanted to go down to these asteroids and secure it quickly, you could probably use a carrier, build a couple fighters from the carrier, and then build, oh yeah, you can't build harvesters, but bring a group of harvesters with you and use the carrier to protect it. That's kind of one way I would use it, but I don't really use the light carrier much, so I don't know what a really good purpose for it would be. Okay, and after that, do not attack my ally. We have the normal carrier. Now this is the same carrier that you would see in Homeworld 2. It's been modified obviously for the mod, but you can build fighters, corvettes, and frigates. You can also build platforms from it, which we will be discussing later. You can build pretty much all of your normal harvesting stuff. You have all of your modules unlocked, your arrays, a power generator. So you can build just about anything from this one that like a normal carrier would build. This carrier requires 2 officers and 30 crew members, so a lot more crew, double the officers of a light carrier. So if you need a full-fledged carrier, this is what you'd be going for. But it's pretty much just multi-purpose. I don't really know what I would use the carrier for. Maybe as a source of production to get fighters and corvettes or frigates out faster if we're like under attack and we need to, you know, have another ship for just production capabilities. But other than that, I pretty much wouldn't know what you would use it for. Okay, and then moving on to our third carrier, we have the fleet carrier.
Available.
Now this one is obviously specific for this mod. Fleet carrier, you can't really build anything. I believe you can dock fighters and corvettes into it. But what's cool about the fleet carrier is it has a built-in, I believe it's a advanced control tower that you don't have to build. I think it's integrated. Let's see. Let's read the description. Capital class support capital ship, very resistant armor, large docking bay. Ooh, maybe we'll take a look at that here in a second. Defense field, advanced defense field system able to protect nearby ships from radiation and from the sun, so if you play on a solar planet. It has an integrated fire control tower and an integrated advanced defense field built into the ship. Okay. It requires 2 officers and 30 crew members, but you can't really build from it. You can dock a lot of ships into it. Let's take a look at that. You can dock 22 ships into the fleet carrier.
Standing by.
You can only dock 12 in the normal carrier.
Acknowledged.
And only 8 in a light carrier. Okay, so you can dock a lot of ships into this carrier in order to bring it into combat and have them wreck people's faces, pretty much. But cool. I believe it also has a built-in defense or shield generator to protect it. So basically, if you're going to go into combat and you're trying to bring a lot of fighter and corvette assistance into battle, this is definitely the ship you would use. Okay, our last carrier of the group is the battle carrier. Now, a couple very interesting things about this ship. One, it has 2 dual 6-turret kinetic cannons, and also, I just noticed this one has a heavy ion cannon built right into the ship. This makes the ship very good against, you know, frigates and destroyers. Probably wouldn't be able to take on battle cruisers, but it would be a really good destroyer level carrier. Or destroyer level killer, that's what I meant to say. It also has the ability to build fighters, corvettes, frigates, and even destroyer class ships. Destroyer and cruiser class ships. So yeah, this guy he's pretty versatile. He's a pretty versatile type ship. You can also build platforms, your harvesters, your modules, sensor arrays. You can upgrade, build a fast plasma cannon to increase fighter and corvette protection, generators. So yeah, this ship is pretty cool. I've tested this out on my own a while back when I used to play this mod a lot more, and I really did like the battle carrier. It was pretty cool. Oh hey, cool. We have a duel going on. You guys handle it.
Engage capital ship.
You guys.
Ready.
You stay here.
Stand down. We're on hold. Acknowledged.
But anyways, another thing I kind of want to note about these different carriers is their different rankings required to actually build them. I didn't really discuss that yet. The light carrier, which you can build literally as soon as the game starts.
Bring it under attack.
Because all it requires is just 1 officer and 10 crew members. I don't even think it requires a capital class facility
attack.
to build.
Breach in the starboard
The carrier
chamber.
you can build once you
We're going
become
now, we're
lieutenant. And then the fleet carrier you can build once you're
under attack.
commodore, and then the battle carrier you can't build. Well, you can build when you're a commodore as well, or commander, not commodore. But the battle carrier requires 3 officers, and there's a reason why. It's pretty unique. But anyways, that's going to do it for
Target
carriers.
destroyed.
Now, let's look at all the different shipyards that are in this mod. Okay, everyone, let's go ahead and talk about shipyards. I have to do this pretty quickly. The enemy is really starting to throw a lot of firepower in it, firepower at us, which is perfectly fine. I have a plan to take care of that, and also a plan to continue this video all at the same time. So, yeah, it's awesome. Anyways, our first one we're going to look at is the cinema station. Now, this one, I consider it a shipyard because of the fact it can't move. It can only hyperspace, and shipyards, as you can tell, move extremely slowly, so you're better off just making them move around by hyperspacing. But anyways, the cinema station's main advantage is its extremely large sensor range. It can reveal a large portion of the map. You can also use the sensor improver ability, which will make you see even more of the map. For a limited amount of time. So these are very good for spying on enemy locations, to see what the heck is going on with the enemy. You can also build spies directly from them, and do a little bit more reconnaissance, and build probes and whatnot from them as well. But that's pretty much it. This is basically like a reconnaissance shipyard. It's the easiest way I can describe it. Now, the next one, oh yeah, let's see, how much do they actually require to make? I don't think it requires much. Let's see, there you are. You need to be Commodore in order to make it, have to have the hyperspace module built on the ship that builds it, and 1 officer and 10 crew members. So yeah, not a lot of crew required for it.
Roger.
Now the next one is our main shipyard. This is the same shipyard you would see in Homeworld 2. It is, you need to build a shipyard in order to build the battle cruisers or battleships in the game, which you guys probably do that. Just wanted to mention that in case anyone didn't actually know that. But since this is the main shipyard, you can build just about anything from the sky. Platforms, ships, you can build every single module. Now, the things that are different from the mothership and the shipyards and the carrier is there are certain modules you can't build on the mothership, then you can only build on the shipyard. One of them
Confirmed.
is the manufacturing center. I don't think you can build on the carriers, which I don't know because I got rid of the carriers. Because, you know, I needed more firepower to fight the people off there attacking me. Even though the computer's not supposed to be attacking me, you're supposed to be attacking my ally, but whatever. I will not be complaining about that. But yeah, the only main difference between the shipyard and the mothership is the shipyard can build the manufacturing center or controller, which will allow you to do the manufacturing research so you can build things quicker. Let's go ahead and skip this song. It's a Quake song, apparently. Interesting. Let's get back to a Homeworld song, please. There we go. But you can also build more power generators, and you can build more RU supplies. Okay, and now our second shipyard is this one over here, which looks similar to our first shipyard, except it has all of these different docking ports on it. It's got one here, a couple here, over here. This is the command shipyard. Once you become a captain, you can build this. And what's unique about this shipyard is all those other where are they? All these different like stations that we talked about earlier. You can dock these into the command station and even the mothership into the command station and use this as like one giant like command station that's in charge of all those different units. You can also upgrade the mothership from this once it's docked by getting it the mothership battle asset once you become an admiral. And this will once this upgrade is complete, a mothership will move faster, have more firepower, do more damage, build faster, repair faster. It'll be all pretty much a completely different mothership, more powerful and more useful. It'll also put a bunch of kinetic cannon turrets and a couple heavy ion cannon turrets on the mothership to allow it to be more effective in battle as well. Essentially making it anything short of a battlecruiser that it can easily wipe out with no issues.
Reporting.
But once you get everything docked into the ship, I'm trying to remember where the heck it is. I think it's here. Yeah, you could start putting like long-range torpedo launchers on it, long-range nuclear bomb launchers, heavy mass shields. You could do a lot of interesting things with this with everything docked in. I haven't really played around with it too much myself because it is a little bit buggy if it doesn't work right. Maybe one of these episodes we will upgrade the mothership using the command shipyard and then kind of just play around with that. But I typically build the command shipyard over the normal shipyard because I usually like to upgrade the mothership and make it more powerful. Now, the third and final shipyard, which is kind of unique to this game, or this mod,
Copy.
is the Battleship Yard. Like the battle carrier, this one also has some weapons on it that allow it to be useful in battle. Most of them are long-range artillery cannons, so it can provide some cover fire or suppression fire from long range. And one thing that's actually really cool about this shipyard that I didn't realize before is you can have 4 power generators on the Battleship Yard, as well as 4 supply docks on the shipyard as well, or RU supply things. Where in the normal carrier or normal shipyards, you can only have 2. But other than that, this one can do exactly the same as the other shipyards. It just can provide some long-range fire. You can also have some long-range missiles on it as well. They'll do some damage from enemies that are far away.
Acknowledged.
What kind of weapons? I don't think you can have any weapons on the normal shipyard. Nope, you can only have weapons on the command shipyard.
Reporting.
Let's see, how many units can you dock? 40, 40, and 40. Okay, so
Reporting.
docking, they're all the same. Now, when it comes to how many people they are required to actually be made, let's see. The normal shipyard is 3 officers, 40 crew members. The command is 5 officers, 45 crew members. And the battleship yard is 6 officers and 60 crew members.
Ready.
So you do require a lot of people in order to be functional. But the only main advantage this guy has, other than the fact you can have more power generators, which allows you to have more power, which is useful in battle, because using your weapons and engines and shields and everything in battle will drain your energy. So having more energy production will help counter that. Anyways, that's it when it comes to the different shipyards in the game. Let's look at a couple other production ships that could become very useful in late game usage. Okay, everyone, we are going to talk about the 2 stations that you can build in the game. This one right here is the Command Fortress. It's probably one of my favorite ships in the whole Homeworld Complex era. It is a very powerful station. Once it's completely upgraded, you have to build all of your turrets and whatnot on it. But it can take down entire fleets on its own. Doesn't depend on the size. Doesn't depend if it's corvettes. Doesn't depend if it's these guys. But this guy is very powerful. He is also very expensive to build, very expensive to upgrade, and very expensive to maintain. If I go over to production, go down to Command Fortress, he costs 12,000 to build and requires 6 officers and 60 crew members. But he can literally defend you against just about everything. One big thing about this guy, though, is you do have to make sure you have him above your mothership if you're going to use him for combat. All of the turrets, as you can see, here's the heavy cannon. God dang it, freaking autosave. But you have the heavy ion turrets. You have the heavy kinetic turrets. All of these turrets are underneath the station, which means if you have the station like equal to the mothership, they're not going to be able to actually attack and do any damage. The only turrets that actually are on top are it looks like the torpedo turrets, and the heavy mines are on top too. The heavy mines can go anywhere. They just float to the enemy, but the heavy mines, torpedoes, and the flak turrets all stay on top. All the other ones all stay down here at the bottom. So, yeah.
Ready.
Now, the other one you can build is the Orbital Station. This one also is extremely expensive investment. It costs 24,000 RUs to produce. It doesn't have a whole lot of defenses on its own. It does have a couple long-range kinetic turrets, which might be good against like frigates. It maybe can bring down a destroyer, not really to bring down, but suppress a destroyer for a while. But fast-moving ships, this guy is going to need protection against. He also produces a safe zone, a safe like space zone. So like if you're playing on the sun map where you have to deal with radiation and everything, this one will make a normal orbit area or normal space area to where you don't have to worry about radiation when you're around the orbital station. Now the orbital station also has population that grows over time, and this population produces RUs. So this is a useful way to generate RUs. Let me go ahead and skip this song because this one's loud. No, not that song. That song's copyrighted. Blah blah blah. There we go. These RUs, just like fusion, will be generated for you at the end of the year and just go straight into your RUs. Now, a couple issues I have about the orbital station. I love this implementation, that the fact that you have a station where people stay on and they generate RUs for you. The problem is they generate a lot of RUs. Now, when I play this game, I always play on population low, which means that it takes longer for the population to grow, and the main reason why is because if you have it on normal, within like 20-30 years in the game, which is a long time, but within that time period you can generate like 10,000 RUs from your orbital station and pretty much just only use that as a source of income. So I think it's a little cheesy. I kind of wish the amount of population that you produce per each one of these barracks it was a lot less, like maybe 500 per barracks. So that would mean you would have one already built on the station, but you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at 500 apiece. That'd be 3,500. That sounds enough for one station, instead of like 2,000 per piece, which would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Will be 14,000 RUs by the time this thing is fully developed. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of freaking money, but that's just one of the gripes that I have about the game. But anyways, I think that's just about everything. We talked about all of the different production ships, and I think we're done for this episode. In the next episode, we're going to start talking about different platforms that you can build with the Higarans. Looking forward to that, because some of those I'm actually haven't made myself, so I'm looking forward to testing them out for you guys. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this. Please leave a like if you did. If you like what I do, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys in the next video. But until next time, this is Captain Soban signing out.
Attention fleet. Makan has found Valcora Gate. The coordinates are 1134489
We'll send everything we've got, but be advised, we are a mining vessel. It would be best if we did